Hi, everybody. We're doing a quick little side for Making Action Happen specifically for YouTube. We've got a couple of things coming up, but we wanted to just check in with you as our listeners because we're 32 days out?
What's today? Today is the 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
31, 32 days out
November
from the election.
9th. So yeah, we're about 31, 32 days out.
We just wanted to check in with you because, of course, everybody's kind of lost their minds. At this point, we want to let everybody sort of settle in and just sort of think about not the drama of everything, but looking beyond the election. What's going to happen after starting November 9th and how all that's going to look. So there's been some interesting things. What has really stood out to you? Well, let's talk first about how interesting it is that, and everybody's talked about it already, that Adam Frisch and Lauren Boebert right now in the polls are neck and neck.
Statistically, a tie. That came out. It actually, they're all over the place. Like every single poll's like, up, I'm down, whatever. I don't put much faith in polls, but that one was kind of surprising because you have the opposite, on statewide races or even local races. You're not seeing it consistent across the board. So you could have a Democrat that's up 7 points and then in the same area, a Republican that's up 7 points. So what that means to me that I think people are paying attention more to the candidate right now than the party, which is also why you see the party attacks, like the big Republicans, the big Democrats. You see the ads. They're really trying to create like a end of the world scenario. Like you need to vote Republican straight down or the world's going to end, or you got to vote Democrat straight down or the world's going to end. And you've heard that from some of the candidates. But interestingly enough, like I said, if you look at some of the polls, and it could be the same group of people being polled and somebody will be up a lot and then the opposite party will be up a lot in a different race. So again, that says to me that they're really paying attention to the candidate. This is probably the most push polls that I've ever seen in an election. And what that is where you get a text and it's like, click here to do this survey. Colorado matters. And you go through and it's like, are you going to vote? Likely, probably, yes, no. And then it's like, are you going to vote Republican? Or do you lean Republican? Or do you lean Democrat? Are you going to vote Democrat? And it's like, are you going to vote for this candidate? And then it'll say something about them, like usually negative. It said, did you know that this candidate was part of this, blah, 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 blah. And then it'll circle back and say, after reading this, do you still feel like you're going to vote for this candidate? Like I've seen so many of those this time.
So many of those.
Like I would get like one or two, and I don't know why. I did, our house is unaffiliated. So we're getting all these mailers and I'm getting 2 a day right now, like literally 2 mailers a day.
That's it. We're unaffiliated at my house and I'm getting 5.
Yeah. And I did see there was like an article about how much money is being spent on this on the soft side. So these groups from both sides of the aisle, like just pumping money into these mailers to people. You're seeing like more YouTube and ads on streaming services that I've ever seen. In fact, I clicked on our show, Making Action Happen, and just making sure something uploaded on YouTube or whatever, and it was like a political ad. And I was like, oh gosh, I hope people don't think we're putting this up there, which most people don't. But then I talked to my dad, who's like, oh, I see all these ads on, I click on YouTube to watch this video on how to clean my drill press, and there's a political ad. I don't know why the drill press cleaner dude is putting a political ad on. I'm like, Dad, it's not them. And there's this like weird algorithm that you buy and you live in the area, so they just automatically put it on. But I've seen more of those this go around than I've seen in a long time. Just a massive amount of money going into this. I was talking to some of the candidates where, to run for Congress 5-6 years ago in a rural district, you would spend $600,000 to $800,000. And now you look at the fundraising and we're talking millions.
Yeah.
Like millions of dollars. You're looking at local races, like state Senate races, state House races. and their fundraising targets are hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then the soft money is like millions of dollars going into it. I haven't been tracking the county commissioner fundraising, but back in the day, you could run for county commissioner for 20 grand.
Yeah.
And that was it. And now some of the targets are like 60, 80, $100,000 for county commissioner. Yeah. So that's insane. It's just a lot of money. I think people are getting sick of it. There is a push right now from both sides of the aisle to get rid of the precinct and caucus system in Colorado, which does come up every few years. But both sides, the people I talked to, said that they feel that the system that we have to get people on the ballot is putting people that might be a little too extreme right and left and doesn't truly represent the values of the people of Colorado or the country. Whether or not that's true, I don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, it is true.
It's true. We've seen some examples of it, and we try to be so.
But I don't know if the other system is better. I guess that's what I'm getting at. I don't know if there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, if there's a better way to do it, I don't know either. So you haven't been ever involved in a campaign, but you've been I've been around them. You've been around them a lot. There's no, you couldn't be involved in the campaign with your former jobs, but casual observer, more than a casual observer on it.
Yeah.
So what's going on behind the curtain right now for these campaigns?
Oh, it's just money. I mean, it's literally like people are getting paid a lot of money to do this. And it's a good job. Like people that always said, like, take the money out of politics. It's just money. It employs a lot of people too and keeps like print shops open. If you want to go gather signatures, you want to go knock doors from somebody, those are good paying jobs, and they only come around every 2 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of that money that you see in it, it's not just going to advertising. It's not just going to mailers. It goes to paying people to be out there and canvas, knock doors for you. It pays these smaller print shops. There's two ways to do it. You go through like a big print shop out of Texas or Kansas, and they do it for cheap bulk. Or some candidates like to go to your local print shop, like My Friend the Printer, or Signs by Scott, anything like that.
Yeah.
And that does invest some money in the community. And signs aren't cheap. And realistically, I don't think any of these print shops cut them a deal on this because it's unfair. You have to charge what you charge everybody. So people are making a lot of money. Every sign you see out there pays somebody's salary or pays a small business, which is not a bad thing. But still, the money going behind it, and everything's tied to fundraising. It's like you don't just fundraise for yourself as a candidate. You fundraise for the party, and you fundraise for this. And there's more of that going on, and it's just building this war chest to throw at these elections, which dark side of money, that's kind of the argument why, money buys elections. But it's a fundraising machine. It does employ a lot of people. It does invest in the community. So I'm not too upset about that, but man, never seen this amount of money go into local races ever.
So I'll tell you, we get a bunch of mailers every day. If it looks negative at all, it goes right in the fireplace. If it looks positive, I'm going to take an extra 2 seconds. Is that normal?
Yeah. Again, talking to some of the strategists on
let's just go
one
with
side. Let's say, okay, so we have this one candidate, and I won't say who, he or she, sent out these mailers that were completely negative towards the opponent. And they did a poll after I think 3 of them went out, and there were some ads out there on Facebook, on TV. I don't think they did the radio, but you saw that pull back because that negative advertising or negative attacks really turned people off, and they noticed it in a poll. And then you have another story here in Pueblo. Somebody got a negative ad, received a negative mailer, and it said, I am not going to vote for this person. This is not classy. This is BS, basically.
Right.
I will not vote for this person. I'm going to vote for this person's opponent. And then that night, they had paint thrown on their house. And they put it on
yeah.
Facebook. It was all over social media, and it was somebody that was like prominently involved with politics here. And I'm sure you can find it on Facebook in Pueblo. But yeah, somebody pulled up. The person ran out and they chucked paint at the person's house, based solely on a social media post saying, "I don't like this negative ad."
Well, and I look at, I got two flyers at the same time, and I looked at both of them just last night, and it was all negative, but they talked so much about their opponent, the negative one, and then the positive one was about, this person's done this, and this person's done this, and this person's done this. Yeah. I hope that by the end of this election that the voters have made it very clear that they would rather hear like all the negative, like it doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. Voters are far more informed. They're doing their homework. There's a whole lot of information that they're going to process in a whole lot more productive way. I hope so on that one. Okay, so sorry. Sometimes I move away from the camera or the microphone because I talk with my hands, if you guys haven't noticed that. So just one thing that you've seen during this election, because we can talk about all the negative stuff all day long. Something that you've seen through this election season that you've like, oh, this is good. I like where this is going. I like how this is. Because by the time we get to November 9th, you've done this longer than I have, so you're probably a little more jaded on it than I am, but I get exhausted. Tell me something good during this election season. That was a really long preamble. You should have been able to think of something as I went on and on and on.
Just what I said. Like, it seems like people are paying attention more to the candidates than the talking points of the party, but I mean, I don't see anything good in any election. I mean, change is good. Like, no, I see that. There is some stuff like in some of the local elections, like you saw where people are just fed up and agreed that it was time for something different, time for some change. You did see that, and it was particularly in races that have not changed for a long time. And then, whoops, somebody's not running. They didn't make it through the primary. Like you saw that in a few places. For good and bad. And there's reasons for that, but that just shows that people they're not satisfied with business as usual in some of these more localized races. And I appreciate that, because the one thing, and it's like anything, even a nonprofit or a company, the CEO should be temporary. Back in the day, the reason why a CEO of a company made so much money was because they were expected to work their butt off for 2 years, make a ton of money, and then step out for somebody new to come up. And that's why it's like steals your soul for 2 years. You are nothing but the company, and you do your 2 years or 3 years or whatever, keep the company on track, and then you retire. And, as we've seen in the past 40, 50 years, it's people get into this, and this politicians as well. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm going to go up there for like 6 years and I'm done. And then 48 years later, they're still in office or they're still running a company. And that's the same with local elections, where you don't have term limits on some of these county and city level positions. And you're seeing people react to that and get some of these people out of there that have been there forever. And people aren't happy with the way it's being run. And so they're like, hey, it's time for change. Let's get this person out and get somebody new in, see what happens. And that is a good thing. And I appreciate that.
I think the thing that I'm looking at that gives me a lot of hope or restores a lot of faith is not the because there has been a lot of negative. We've seen a lot of just really bad behavior.
Yeah.
During this election that I don't remember from before. Maybe I just wasn't aware of it before.
It's always been there, and I'm kind of fine with the mudslinging a bit too. I think that it proves a point. You just can't do too much of it.
Yeah, but on the other side of it, after we did the gubernatorial debate the other night, I sent out a letter to or an email to all of our members, and then the response I got back from that was incredibly positive. But more than that, I asked some of our members how you would how you would answer the questions that we had posed to both of the gubernatorial candidates, and I was really delighted at the response that we got. Not because I agreed with everything that we got, but it told me that Coloradans are much more educated than I think people who are running these campaigns might know, that they're sort of that middle, that unaffiliated, and we're seeing, I think, the unaffiliated numbers are rising even now as we're getting close to the election, that it's that in between that really, and the extreme on both sides isn't really what Coloradans want. It's that let's be reasonable about how we move forward beyond this election. And that was the big takeaway for me after doing all that. And that gave me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Anyway.
One specific candidate that's been on our show said, I'm part of the Get Stuff Done party. And
the Get Stuff Done party. He also coined the angertainment industry. I love that, because then every time something comes up now, I go, oh, they're just playing into the angertainment industry. I appreciate that a lot. Okay, so here's what's going on. The Action 22 annual meeting is coming up. It's going to be October 21st and 22nd. We've got a really impressive lineup. We're sending out an updated agenda because of scheduling that we know with forums and all that. Scheduling is a little more fluid than it is during a regular year that it is during an election year. But we're going to have all the executive branch will be there. A lot of candidates. I think we've got something like 10 or 12 candidates on races on all levels are going to be there. They are all happy to come to Action 22 events because they know that we are passionately nonpartisan, that this is the space where they get to actually talk about issues. So we're going to do that. But then we're also going to have a lot of other reports in there. And so we'd really like you to join us for that. This is going to be a big deal. This is a really important election. We want everybody to come and to be a part of that. Part of the reason it's really important that Action 22 members be there is because they are the influencers in their community. And so many people come to them and ask them what they think about a ballot measure or a candidate, or if they're trying to figure out what's real and what's not. We get those calls all the time, every day. And so this is going to be an opportunity to have genuine, authentic conversation, some presentations, some inspirational stuff, some fun stuff. We're going to, of course, go over to a hockey game after the candidate reception on Friday night. And then on Saturday, we have the morning is packed. And then we're also going to be doing awards. So we're doing something different this year. And then we have a big announcement for what the next steps for Action 22 actually are. So we'd love for you to join us for that. If you would like tickets or more information, you can visit our website at action22.org. Or you can email us, of course, always at show@action22.org. And then also we're going to ask you one other thing. We would love to hear from you what your opinion is on the future in Colorado for water, the economy, energy, and public safety. Those were the questions that we posed to Governor Polis and to Regent Heidi Ganahl at the debate. And we'd really like to hear what you have to say. If you can get your thoughts to us, we would actually share them at our annual meeting with all of those candidates, so they know where you're at and what you're thinking on some of these issues. What else?
That's it.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We hope to see you on October 21st and 22nd here in Pueblo.
All right. Bye.